Dr. Phil, I just wanted to show you something that happened this morning. Let me play it.
I wish I could see you. I wish you were here.
I can't wait to see you. Kiss you all over, hug you, squeeze you, and just want to hold you forever.
I want to hold you forever too, babe. We'll see each other soon, I promise.
If a stranger walked in on this, you would not even think that only 2 months ago they were connected to this alleged crime spree.
He's in jail now, right?
Yes, he is.
He's got robbery with a firearm, unauthorized use of a vehicle, engaging in a pattern of criminal offense, possession of a firearm. What I'm really interested in finding, if you can have research look this up, if he is convicted and she is on probation, I'm suspecting that she cannot have contact with a known felon. So that means once you go on probation, if you violate it, you go straight to jail.
So no more lovey-dovey phone calls?
No phone calls, no nothing. So I'll see you soon? No, you won't.
She doesn't even get this.
Yeah.
No idea.
They're in for a rude awakening.
Today on an all-new Dr. Phil.
Alexis and her boyfriend have this Bonnie and Clyde thing going on.
You had a death pact, so if you got arrested, he's going to shoot you and then himself?
We were gonna line our heads up and do it at the same time.
They're facing felony charges.
The cops were chasing us.
He bailed and took off running and left you there.
He's protected me for so long.
He takes a gun into a store, allegedly. This is the guy that's protecting you. Today's going to be a changing day in your life. You've never had anybody working harder to bring you to the threshold of change than right now. Okay, I want you to imagine watching the news and realizing that they're talking about your child.
A multi-state violent crime spree comes to an end in Guthrie.
After days of being on the run, 30-year-old Lawrence Lewis is in jail. Saturday night, investigators say Lewis and 23-year-old Alexis Nugent robbed a clerk at this Dollar General at gunpoint.
They're also accused of running from police in North Texas, stealing a car, and coming to Oklahoma.
Officers arrested Nugent, but Lewis escaped.
News 9 photographer Joby McAdams spots a man believed to be Lewis swimming in the middle of the lake.
Finally, this morning, a homeowner holds Lewis at gunpoint after he breaks into their garage. Lewis will also face a burglary charge in Logan County. As for Nugent, she's behind bars on a robbery and accessory complaint.
Well, Stacy says her 23-year-old daughter, Alexis, still faces charges for what police claim is her part in an interstate crime spree with her boyfriend, Lance. Now, one stop in the alleged crime spree was a dollar store where authorities say Lance was caught on a security camera pointing a gun at an employee. Alexis' mother, Stacy, and grandmother, Vicky, say Alexis has fallen under the spell of a man who they fear will absolutely destroy her.
On my birthday, my daughter Alexis texted me saying happy birthday, that she would see me in a couple hours. I never heard back from my daughter until she was in jail. Alexis and her boyfriend Lance have this weird Bonnie and Clyde thing going on. She told me on this trip that they had a death pact.
Because of the crime spree that Alexis and Lance went on, Alexis is facing 3 felony charges, including 2 counts of grand theft auto, accessory to an armed robbery, criminal mischief among counties, and that's just in Oklahoma.
I want to believe she didn't know what was going down when these crimes started, but anything Lance tells her to do, she does.
I told you something different when I was in jail because I was in jail and everybody was telling me a certain way to do it.
Right now, Lance is facing a lot of jail time and may not even get out of prison until he's 40 or 50. I hope she's not going to waste her life waiting on somebody for all that time.
I think Alexis is with Lance because of her past traumas. He's a support system for her, and she feels protected by him.
Alexis was sexually assaulted when she was 18. She completely changed after the assault. Everything with her has been way more explosive.
I don't know if she really understands how much trouble she's actually in. She doesn't seem to register reality.
And before all this, I tried to tell Alexis to dump Lance, but she didn't want to hear any of this.
I was hanging out with people doing bad stuff before this.
I had serious concerns about this guy. I knew Lance had a record, and I knew he carried a gun, and I saw that he was pathological.
What I fear most out of this situation is Alexis will either be in prison or I will have to take care of her for the rest of my life. At this point, I don't know how to communicate with her.
Okay, you say you don't know how to communicate with her. What does she do when you attempt to?
She just screams and yells. She gets pissed off. She'll go on a tangent, take off out of the house, go drinking.
How long has this behavior with her hanging out with this kind of a person been going on?
This has only been recently. She started out as like a normal, like I would say normal, the happiest child that I ever saw. And then when she was assaulted, everything just went downhill. Everything's turned into a complete mess and it just keeps spiraling.
Okay, and you say that she was assaulted, and we'll talk about that in some detail in a minute, but what was done when that happened in terms of trying to help her adapt to that, accommodate to that, heal that, get past that?
So she was in denial initially. We took her to the hospital. She didn't admit it to the hospital. We basically just kind of tried to get her in to see different counselors, you know what I mean?
Is this a long way of saying nothing?
Yeah, it is, you're right. It's a long way of saying we just kind of pushed it under the rug.
Okay, she didn't do squat.
Right.
So this happened and you didn't do anything about it. And now, you say that Alexis agreed to a death pact with Lance and was going to shoot Alexis in the head in case of arrest. Did she tell you this?
She told me that, yes.
What'd she say?
She just said that that's what his thing was. In case of arrest, he would shoot her in the head
and shoot himself after.
And that was okay with her.
Okay, so if they start closing in, I'm going to shoot you in the head, then I'll shoot myself.
Yes.
Okay, but when it did come to it, he actually jumped out of the car and ran off and left her there.
Yes. The car was T-boned by the police. She could have died in that incident. They said that they can't even believe she's alive. She was left in the car. He took off.
So it's like, love you, baby, bye.
Yeah,
He takes off across the field and leaves her there to deal with the police. Have you pointed that out to her?
I did point it out to her.
That he abandoned her in the wrecked car to the police and he took off? She
seems to think that he didn't. Like, oh, he was looking out for me. She's in this, like, whole other universe saying, he's looking out for me, he's looking out for me. And they're out there doing this stuff. I mean, insane stuff that you can't even believe your kid would do.
They actually crossed state lines.
Yes.
Has there been any talk about federal charges?
There's going to be more charges in Texas. We just don't know what those are.
Does she have any sense that he was putting her in danger at this point?
I think that she, at first, just thought it, I feel like she just thinks it's an adventure. And they're just, I love you, we're committed to each other, I'll wait for you forever, baby. Like, it's...
Well, she talked to him this morning.
Yeah, that's...
She called him in here. I listened to the phone conversation.
Okay.
And honest to God, it was like, you know, they were talking about going to the prom.
No, I know.
Let's listen to that conversation.
Okay.
I miss you so much.
I miss you more. I wish I could see you. I wish you were here.
I can't wait to see you, kiss you all over, hug you, squeeze you, and just want to hold you forever.
I want to hold you forever too, babe. We'll see each other soon, I promise.
I hope so.
I know, it's been too long.
Yeah, that's
Really, it's
disturbing.
like they're talking about prom dates,
Yeah.
right?
It's like they're going to see each other tomorrow. Like, they don't realize that he's going to be in prison for a long time already.
Yeah,
I mean,
so they're going to get to that in 25 years.
exactly, when he's 50 and she's 40.
Well, and we're going to talk to her about the reality of that, and I have a criminal attorney here today that is going to be able to speak to this with great authority. Now, Alexis told my staff that she had no idea how she and her dog and fiance Lance went from a nice, peaceful car ride to an interstate crime spree. I hate it when that happens. You just, one minute you're just like driving around, and the next minute you're on an interstate crime spree. I'm going to let her explain that maybe in a little more detail. We're going to meet her next. We'll be right back.
I love Lance and he loves me. He's like my backbone. He won't argue with me. He won't yell at me or lecture me. Like, he's my positive person in my life.
And later, it bothers you to hear her talk about taking her own life, did it not?
Yeah, watching what you're doing in your life bothered me. And now it's not funny.
I know, yeah.
Is it better for you to go to prison?
Right now, with everything that has been going on, it is too difficult to have Alexis under our roof.
I brought Alexis to live with me so that her parents could have a break. But now I see the reality of what they were going through. Alexis doesn't respect my house. She doesn't respect my rules. She's stealing alcohol. She's smoking in my house. All her life is worrying about her clothes, doing her makeup, talking to Lance, sleeping, but it's very seldom that she ever does anything constructive. I'm wondering why it's so hard for her. She's 23, but her brain has not developed since high school. It really is like living with an adolescent.
Well, Vicki says her granddaughter Alexis was arrested after police say she was involved in an alleged crime spree involving 5 stolen cars and an attempted robbery with her fiance. And her fiance supposedly had a gun. Alexis says despite her face being plastered all over the news, she still loves her fiance Lance and will never incriminate him.
Everything that's happened with Lance and I feel like I've had no choice but to come out of my shell. It seems like every time I try to be honest with my family about how I feel, they either want to argue or fight with me, and then I start to self-destruct emotionally. I've built such of a wall up because if I say one little thing that will tick them off, like, they'll argue with me, and I'm emotionally drained and I can't do it anymore. Other than having to deal with the stress of court, being in jail, and also not knowing if I'm going to be seeing my fiance Lance, I have my own battles going on between my parents and also my grandmother. They try to change my personality and want me to be someone I'm not. The main issue between my mother and I is she likes to drink and start fights with me. And the next morning she'll wake up and not remember any of the fights. She also makes me feel like everything I do is wrong. I moved in with my grandma about a week ago. Just the other day, my grandma kicked me out. She got angry with me because I'm still talking to Lance. Because you started the argument because of Lance, because you didn't want me defending him.
That's not how I see it.
And I'm not gonna make my fiance look like a horrible person. I love Lance and he loves me. Lance is a soft spot for me because he's where I can run and not have someone yelling at me. He's like my backbone. He won't argue with me. He won't yell at me or lecture me. Like, he's my positive person in my life. We get along really good. We're like 2 peas in a pod. We act so goofy together. We can be weird together, and like, we don't judge each other. I've never been more happy than when I was with Lance. I'd much rather be homeless than be told that I can't be myself. Even though Lance is behind bars, he's still my man, and I'm gonna stick with him.
Okay, it's good to meet you.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you too.
Now, you said even though he's behind bars, you're gonna stick with him.
Yes.
And you're very sensitive about not wanting to say anything that throws him under the bus or incriminates him.
Yes.
But and let me just assure you, I'm not going to ask you to do that.
That's fine.
Because you don't need to. They got security cameras with a gun in his hand.
I haven't really watched any of the videos, though.
I have, and so they really don't.
I'm sure.
No, they really don't need your help, so I won't call on you for that.
Of course.
You don't feel guilty about that. But he is in jail.
Yes.
And he is facing multiple felony charges.
Yes.
And just with what he's charged with so far, he's looking at 25 to 30 years and $25,000 in fines, which he can't pay. And then you're also charged.
I have 3 charges.
And what do you think's likely to happen with your charges?
Well, I'm trying to be optimistic about it since I do have no priors. I'm hoping I'll just get like probation for probably like 10 years or something like that. But I mean, that's still not like the most ideal thing possible, but there is the chance that I am going to be facing time as well. So, I mean, I could be doing months or even years behind bars.
What was in your mind when you and your boyfriend allegedly did what you allegedly did?
Well, the thing is, most of it I didn't have a clue. Like this stuff that you guys do have on video, I didn't know about. And we were just trying to make like a better life for ourselves. But once you're not sleeping or eating or your mind is messed up on drugs, you really don't do what you really would do if you're in like the right state of mind.
When this security camera, when I said we didn't need your help, this security camera picture here where he's going into the store with a gun in his hand, you were right behind him in the car.
I was I didn't know that that was gonna be going down. Our car broke down and he kind of just said that he was gonna go get some help. So I didn't assume that was the help.
And you had a death pact.
Yes, we did.
So if you got arrested, he's going to shoot you in the head and then himself?
We were going to do it at the same time, like line our heads up and do it at one time.
Why, by the way?
Like I said, whenever you're not sleeping, not eating, and you're doing drugs, like your mind's not fully there.
That doesn't make sense to you now.
No.
When you did crash the car, he was driving, and he bailed and took off running.
Yeah.
And left you there.
He told me to run as well because he didn't want me to get him in trouble, but I didn't.
Hey, it's ride or die, baby. They catch us, we're going down together. Then when they do, he hauls ass and leaves you there.
Well, I knew about it, though.
Well, Alexis says when she got out of jail, she purchased an engagement ring for herself as a reminder of her boyfriend, Lance. We'll talk about that next. And she also had a really interesting and I think candid conversation with Coach Mike. We'll be right back.
I didn't think it was really going to be all about like this situation. Can I have a moment, please?
Alexis?
Yeah.
You okay?
A few months ago, my boyfriend Lance randomly picked me flowers. He got on his knees. He didn't have a ring, but he asked me to marry him, and I said yes.
I think the engagement's a spoof. It's not going to happen because he's not going to be getting out of jail anytime soon.
If they got married, I don't know how our relationship would continue.
When I got out of jail, I bought a ring at a thrift store for $2. It makes me feel like Lance is still part of my life.
How did you afford that?
It's a $2 ring, but I mean, I put it on, like I bought it, and then this one here is actually from a family friend of his that they gave to me, which both of them, they're not like real or they're not fancy, but it doesn't have to be like that.
It's a thought that counts.
It's a thought that counts.
It's symbolic, right?
Yeah, it means something to me, and I like to keep wearing it.
It doesn't matter whether it's
no, it doesn't matter. $2, I mean, people thought it was real before, so I was like, yeah. Sure.
But it's symbolic to you. It means something to you. I get that. Okay, now I really wanted to dig deeper with Alexis, so I called on Mike Dare to meet with her in advance. Now, he is a life coach and CEO of Cast Centers. Now, Coach Mike focuses on helping his clients break free of destructive patterns that aren't yielding the results that they want. And his New York Times best-selling book is called Best Self, Be You Only Better. So I asked Mike to sit down with Alexis a few days ago to really learn what it is that she actually wants from her life and take a good hard look at what's working and what's not working. Let's take a look at what they had to talk about.
Hello.
Hi, Alexis.
Hey.
Nice to meet you.
Coach Mike, nice to meet you. So what would you say is not working for you right now?
I drink a lot.
Let's just start to write out what's not working for you. Drink too much?
Drink too much, yeah.
Okay.
Talking to my parents isn't working because every time I do try to talk to them, it ends up in an argument.
And what is working?
I like drawing and painting, and that kind of gets my emotions like out there.
So being creative?
Being creative, yeah, because I like to do makeup too.
Okay. What else is working?
Talking to Lance helps me. He's my positive person, and I feel like I'm gonna lose the only person who actually listens to me.
And that's scary.
That's scary, yeah.
Can you just draw over here a picture of you and Lance?
Okay.
That's a great photo. Over here, I want you to draw Lance in jail.
Okay.
And there's a specific event that led him to being behind bars, right? In terms of like ending up here, what do you think the first thought that happened over here?
Well, we needed money because we both weren't working.
What did you end up doing to get money?
I was more like the person who was like, no, we need to get jobs and like, you know, have a normal lifestyle. Like, he had a different lifestyle. So I think his thoughts were a lot different.
So where did it end up being that your idea became the lesser idea?
We would argue about his ideas about it. I was like, why are you doing this?
I want you to explain why you didn't put your foot down.
This is a lot harder than I expected because I didn't think it was really gonna be all about like this situation. Can I have a moment, please? If that's okay. If that's okay. Thank you.
Alexis?
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
I just wanted to help you figure out, like...
Yeah, I know. It's just, like, with the whole court stuff, and I'm not going to say anything to throw him under the bus or anything like that. Like, I can't.
No. I think what came out of this for me is how you know in your gut what's right.
Yeah.
And you have a hard time setting boundaries. What goals do you have in your life?
Well, I would like to have a good job. I would like to have...
You want a job?
I want a job, yeah.
Okay, what type of job?
I have 3 of my dream jobs.
Okay, what are they?
I would want to be a tattoo artist, a makeup artist, or do something for Disney.
Okay, so draw yourself working in the arts, just the vibe, the energy you add to it. What else would you love?
I would love to have my own place. So
Independence?
Like, independence, yeah.
What we'll do is we'll take some of this to Dr. Phil and get his impressions.
Okay.
And we will then have a plan. How's that sound?
That sounds awesome to me.
Please welcome Coach Mike Baer. So, Coach Mike, what did you take away from that session?
Thank you for having me, Dr. Phil. I mean, what I took away from that session is we spent probably the only hour in the last year of your life where you've actually looked at your own life.
Yeah, that's true.
And that you've actually started to assess your life.
It bothers you to hear her talk about taking her own life, did it not?
Yeah, the whole watching what you're doing in your life bothered me. And now it's not funny.
I know, yeah.
Is it better for you to go to prison and sit there so you can evaluate your life, or is it better for you to get some help? But if you want to get some help, you got to get a little bit of curiosity into your life.
That's why I'm here. Like, I wouldn't put myself or my family in this position if I wasn't ready to change something.
You were really betrayed.
Yeah.
You, in fact, were drugged, raped, and beaten.
We kind of just blew it off. Okay, Alexis, you're fine, though. Like, you'll get over it.
And later, did you really love this girl? Why would you put her in danger the way you have? We talked about an assault that took place, and without getting into great specifics about this, you were really betrayed.
Yes.
Because you were with some people that you thought you could trust. And in fact, we know from hospital records that you, in fact, were drugged, raped, and beaten. And you've never really done much to deal with that. And that still bothers you a lot, I think. What do you think?
I mean, I sometimes say, like, it doesn't. Like, I try to put it in the back of my mind where, like, I feel like I don't think about it and, like, it doesn't affect my life or it doesn't affect who I've become. But then there's also that part of me that I feel like that's just me, like, making excuses. And also, like, just trying to avoid, like, the actual, what actually happened. And I feel like I never really got the chance to, like, really talk about it, or, you know, like, I never, like, pressed any charges or did anything like that. We kind of just blew it off, where it was like, okay, Alexis, you're fine, though. Like, you'll get over it, kind of a thing.
But you don't just get over that, do you?
Thank you so much.
You don't just get over that, do you? You didn't deserve that.
I know.
And I'm really sorry that happened to you. And I think it's made you define some things differently. If I can have a whiteboard for a second. You've said a couple of things that I thought were really important. When you were talking about Lance, which we'll meet here in just a second, you said he's my positive person. In talking about your life, you said, he's my positive person. You said, he has protected me for so long that I don't want to be the one that now criticizes him while he's in jail.
Well, it's not that I, criticize him. Obviously, I'm not happy with the situation, and I wish things could have been different. But I know I spent more time with him than anybody. I know who he is as a person. He's a nice person. He would never want to hurt anybody. I just really honestly think drugs and not sleeping and not eating really can affect the brain.
In fact, you said he's never hurt me. You said he has never hurt me. So I want you to look at these statements that you've made. He's never hurt me. He's my positive person. That's not a T, that's a positive sign. And he protects me. Let's be honest. And I'm just talking about facts here. You said he protects you. He's my positive person. This is the guy that gets in the car with you high on drugs.
Yeah.
This is the guy that protects you. He gets in the car with you on meth, runs from the police at 110 miles an hour, crashes a car, takes a gun and goes into a store with you sitting outside, allegedly. This is the guy that's protecting you. This is a guy that would never hurt you. This is a guy that's protecting you. We've talked about him, but it's now time to hear from Lance, which we're going to do next. Let's hear from Lance, so everybody gets a feel for his personality.
Hello, Dr. Phil.
Yes. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right, thank you.
Right now, you're in jail, and Alexis feels like you two are very much in love. And I'm curious, if you really love this girl, why would you put her in danger the way you have? Why would you put her in a car at 110 miles an hour running from the police if, in fact, that happened?
And if the alleged crimes that are against me are true, you know, I mean, it was nothing that I would ever want to do to harm her or put her in harm's way. My intentions would never be that. And, you know, you just get so caught up in the moment whenever you're under the influence.
But, and we're speaking again hypothetically because I don't want you to incriminate yourself here, but if you love her, why would you enter into a death pact with her and say, if we get caught, we're going to shoot each other in the head and die together?
Hypothetically, I wouldn't be into doing something like that. I would never do that. I couldn't pull the trigger on the one I love the most.
And again, we're speaking about hypothetical folks here, not y'all, but let's say someone was in love with a young woman that was 23 and had her whole life stretched out ahead of her. And her boyfriend was looking at, say, 15 to 25 years in prison. If that person loved that girl, would he say, take yourself out of the game and sit on the sidelines for 15 years? waiting for me to get out of prison. We've only known each other for about 16 weeks, but wait until you're 40 for me to get out of prison. Would that be a loving thing for a person to do?
No, Dr. Phil, I don't think so. And as a matter of fact, to be straightforward, I had told Alexis that I don't expect her to wait for me, and I would rather her look out for herself, you know, and find love. Can she hear me right now?
She can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Alexis, you know I love you dearly. And,
I know, you know I love you too, babe.
Well, here it is. It's like Dr. Phil's saying, if I'm going to be locked up for a long time, which is most likely the circumstances, I don't want you to waste your life waiting on me. I want you to grow old with somebody that you could love and have kids with and marry. You know that. It's hard to think that way, but of course I don't want to be selfish and hold on to you.
I love you so much, and I don't want to let you go.
Stacy, I want to sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, apologize to you, and Vicky as well. I never meant to put your daughter in a predicament like this or in a situation that endanger her life or anybody else's. And that's not who I really am deep down inside. And I just hope y'all can forgive me.
I bet they would come a lot closer to doing that if you would take her off the call list at jail and prison and block it so she can move on with her life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I understand.
All right, Lance, thanks for talking to us.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Phil.
Bye.
Alexis says she hopes to get probation for her crimes. How probable is that? We'll be right back. Alexis is being charged with 2 counts of unauthorized use of a vehicle and 1 count of engaging in a pattern of criminal offenses in 2 or more counties after being arrested with her boyfriend, Lance. That's so far. There are other charges that are pending. She says since she doesn't have any priors, she's hoping to get probation. Now, we have in the audience attorney Brian Watkins, and he is the founder of Brian E. Watkins and Associates, and he practices criminal law and civil litigation in San Diego. Brian, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
The truth of the matter is, they're not even supposed to be talking now, correct?
Correct. As co-defendants, they're not supposed to be having communications. And if Alexis is convicted, she'll be a felon and she will not be able to have contact with him, and she cannot go to the prison grounds and visit him, nor will they be able to speak on the phone. The judge will break them up.
With regard to Lance, with security cameras, with him with a gun in his hand, with police chase and him crashing a stolen car, with him crossing state lines, a DA's going to feel like they've got a pretty good case, would you not think?
I don't think Johnny Cochran can get him out of this.
Yeah. And he does have priors, and so the chance is pretty good they're going to throw the book at him and not cut him the best deal in the world. They offered him 25 years.
And they think that's a gift.
Yeah. The reality is, you may never see him again.
Yeah, I know.
From a legal standpoint, what can she do that would likely cause the court to say, okay, I'm going to take a less harsh approach to her in terms of punishment and sentencing?
She is eligible for probation, but that's not enough. You need to be eligible and suitable for probation. What does suitable mean? Mean that you are amenable to treatment, amenable to rehabilitating yourself and not reoffending. How do you show the court that? You show the court that by getting into treatment for your substance abuse, getting psychological counseling for mental health issues that you're dealing with, the PTSD that you may be dealing with, taking the steps to better yourself so the court doesn't have to.
I want to introduce Dr. Charles Sophie, and Dr. Charles Sophie is a board-certified psychiatrist in multiple specialties, and he's the medical director of the Department of Child and Family Services for LA, and one of his specialties is in adult psychiatry, and He is very well versed in post-traumatic stress disorder and what happens when you take toxic chemicals into your body, such as meth and cocaine. It changes the brain and causes you to make different sorts of errors in judgment. Dr. Sophie, PTSD plus these toxic chemicals, there's a real issue here.
There's a real issue here, and I commend you. I think you have a really core person that's in there that's a loving, caring woman who wants to do better. So if that is there, you should reach and get that out. Because you've had a horrific trauma when you were, what, 17?
About 18, 19.
You were betrayed and you were assaulted in a big, deep way, and you learned about it in a horrible way. And that's a traumatic brain injury on a brain that wasn't even well developed.
Yeah.
That changed the way your brain formed, which then already changes the way you're gonna make a decision. Then you add drugs and alcohol, and you're off to the races. You gotta get yourself straightened out.
I've got one more thing to say to Alexis after the break, and I think it's very, very important. We'll be right back. You know, Coach Mike's book is Best Self, Be You Only Better. It takes a lot to get to that best self. You've got to get a lot of obstacles out of the way. You've got to hit the reset button on your life. That's what needs to happen here.
That's exactly what needs to happen, is to understand who your best self is and how to protect that so that you're living the life that you deserve.
Also joining us in the audience is Dr. Dayna Mannion.
Hi.
And Dr. Mannion, hi Dayna. She is the clinical coordinator with Awakenings Treatment Center. And Awakenings is located in beautiful Agora Hills, California. And it is a neuroscience-based dual diagnosis treatment center. And there are key words in that, all that sentence I'm saying, and those are dual diagnosis. Because you're suffering, in my opinion, from some mental and emotional disorders and some pain associated with the trauma that you've been through. And Dayna, that's exactly what you guys do, is deal with this simultaneously, correct?
Definitely. Alexis, I hear a lot of potential
Thank you.
in you and motivation to actually get your life on track. And at Awakenings, we'll not only help you with individual therapy, I will work with you personally to make sure that we address what Dr. Phil is talking about in terms of the addiction, in terms of what Dr. Sophie is talking about, the trauma and the brain impact. So if you're ready, we're ready to help you.
I'm ready, yeah.
All right. Okay. Fair enough?
Thank you. It was nice meeting you.
Okay, I want to thank all of my guests today, and a special thanks to Coach Mike Baer. His book is Best Self, Be You Only Better. And because I care about everyone here, everybody in the audience is going home with a copy of Mike's book. If you visit CoachMikeBaer.com, you can receive a free personal assessment that will tell you just how ready you are right now to make the changes you want to see in your life. I highly recommend it. I also want to thank Brian Watkins. Brian, thank you for bringing clarity to this. I think it's a real wake-up call for her. And Dr. Sophie, you are a longtime friend and contributor here. Thank you so much for being here again today. And Dr. Mannion, I don't know what we would do without you, so thanks for being here and leading into this. For more information about today's show, log on to drphil.com. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I don't know if you know this, but one of my favorite things to do on a Sunday afternoon is to go for a walk with my wife, Robin. Here's some of the comments we received. Rachel said, you guys are so perfect. Star said, hand in hand, no better way to love. Diane said, happy Sunday, America's #1 couple, stay blessed. I don't know about that, but we do have a good time. So thanks for saying that. We'll see you next time. by the way.
Bounce, bounce, all the girlies bounce. Take 'em to my house, turn the party out. Bounce, 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 all the girlies bounce. Take 'em to my house, turn the party out.
You warned me 1,000 times, memories can kill ya, but I didn't hear ya. I thought that I could fly, but woke up on the asphalt. I swear there was the last time. I've always been naive,